the sensation of sound. It could be the most overwhelming way of perception. Sound can be mellow and fragile. But also massive and striking. Sound can be deep and thrilling. It can fill rooms. It can fill hearts. And it has the power to shape the identity of a car.
High-performance car brands place huge importance on the sound their vehicle make, because they use the sound to convey specific emotions and traits associated with that particular car and their brand in general. The noise a car makes is produced and then tuned. Of course, starts with inside the engine and connected components like intake and exhaust. The firing of a cylinder produces a pulse that emits through the exhaust valves. The frequency with which multiple cylinders of an engine fire and the firing sequence of those cylinders produce the engine note. As we are moving towards electric vehicles, they will lose this ability, and they would also lose that intangible quality their customers expects from these vehicles. In order to mitigate this challenge, the OEMs or companies are resorting to artificially generated sounds. These artificial sounds have to stimulate driver sensitivity to create a natural sound that best fits the vehicle and to reflect the progressive character of the vehicle.
In the beginning, there is always an inspiration. Everything and nothing can be inspiring. Sometimes an idea may seem exceptional, but often it is the most usual object that creates the most exciting and useful sound. To make a sound work in every different state, when accelerating or braking, you need the right tools, the right instruments, just like in music. But unlike a song, the sound of a car is continuous. There is no beginning, no middle part, and no end. That is why Audi created its own pioneering digital method. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Or in the case of the all-new Audi e-tron GT, this sound is worth 1,000 words.
Following Pininfarina's pure sound philosophy, the soundscape has a core frequency of 54 Hz, an organic frequency that is a multiple of 432 Hz known as Verdi's A. Some people believe that according to music theory, 432 Hz is mathematically consistent with the universe. Music tuned to 432 Hz is said to be a pure sound which provides greater clarity and easier on the ears. In this table you will see that the number 1 is in the upper left hand corner, then doubles going down and triples going across to the right. The resultant products of these numbers are what you see in the matrix. The 432 is in yellow and the speed of light less than 1% accuracy is in the blue, which is 432 squared. The red letters at the bottom are the notes that correspond to the frequency numbers above. Every column contains perfect octaves of 432 Hz and Pythagorean tuning. One other thing to note is the sequence of C, G, D, A, etc. follows the circle of fifths perfectly. Basically, the Pininfarina's engineers have chosen 54 Hz as a core frequency, and the frequency will rise in multiples of 54 Hz with new sound layers added as the speed of the vehicle increases. Combining these rich bass tones to create a signature sound which will reflect the pure electric performance of Battista. Technically, the sound affects us in 4 ways. First one, psychological, like the way we breathe, the way our heart rate, brain waves, etc. The second one is psychological, which comes from the way our human ear construction and perceiving different sounds and frequencies, etc. The third one is cognitive. The sound should be reliable to the surroundings and changes. The final one is behavioral, like our emotional states. There is a very popular Sanskrit saying in India called And Pind Brahmand, which literally means that Anda is the combination of Padartha, matter, and Prana, life principle, and Pinda is that which is born out of mother's womb. Ultimately, they become one with the Brahmanda. Brahmanda is nothing but cosmos, which is the very form of God. What it tells us that the very body and the universe are made up of same materials and life energy. So if you have understood this mechanism of body, and we can also understand the working of universe. In yogic tradition, there is a greater emphasis given to music, dance, and sounds. There are elaborative processes and documentations for creation of music using particular instruments and different dance forms and making sounds by chanting mantras. It is believed that these art forms increases human consciousness in order to connect with the God. It is still followed today in the Hindu temples and rituals across India.
People who are in a certain state of sadhana, which is referred to as the Ritambara Prajna, may hear sounds beyond its spectrum. Pranamaya Kosha is made up of 72,000 nadis. 108 active energy centers in the body are chakras in the body. This dimension of allowing the human system to evolve to its ultimate possibility by using these 108 sounds is called as Nada Yoga. Today it is common scientific knowledge that the whole existence is a reverberation of energy. Or in other words, the whole existence is oscillating between being physical existence and being a vibration. So the source of all that's physical in the existence today, as per modern science, is a reverberation or a vibration. This was recognized by the yogic sciences many millennia ago, and it was said the whole existence is sound, because where there is a vibration, there is bound to be a sound. Vibration is only a description, but in human experience, all vibrations, we experience them as sounds. Among the vibrations that happen in the existence, not all of it is right now available to the human ear. The spectrum of sounds that the reverberations of creation throws out is not fully available to the human ear. Only a small band of frequency is available. This we call as the sonic sounds. What is above or over that is called ultrasonic. What is below is subsonic. Both the subsonic and the ultrasonic sounds are not available to the human ear unless a human being strives, has the necessary sadhana to go beyond these limitations of a small band of frequencies. People who are in a certain state of sadhana, which is referred to as the Ritambara Prajna, may hear sounds beyond its spectrum. Otherwise, most human beings are limited to this small band of frequencies. What we refer to as music is a more refined arrangement of these sounds that the creation is already making. The Indian classical music particularly comes from a very deep understanding of the human system, because all our experience of life is essentially happening within us. Light and darkness is happening within us, sound and silence is happening within us, joy and misery is happening within us, agony and ecstasy is happening within us. Every human experience happens only within ourselves, never outside of ourselves. Because we are the basis of our experience, everything that we do is based upon the nature of the self. Because of this, the music identified certain dimensions of the body which are responsive to the sounds that we generate or the sounds that come towards us. The human system being seen as 5 koshas or 5 sheets or layers of body, the Annamaya kosha, the Manomaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha and Anandamaya kosha. Among these 5, Pranamaya kosha is the most significant one. Pranamaya kosha is made up of 72,000 nadis, which meet and redistribute in 114 significant ways, or there are 114 junction boxes in the human system. Of these, 2 are outside the physical nature and 112 are within. Out of these 112, 4 are dormant to a large extent. So 108 active energy centers in the body are chakras in the body. Based on this, these 108 are divided on the right and the left in the form of Ida and Pingala. They're divided as 54 each. Based on this, we formed a Sanskrit alphabet of 54 sounds. These 54 sounds in 2 manifestations of feminine and masculine, we have 108. These 108 sounds, these 54 in 2 different shades or 2 different manifestations amounting to 108 has a significance, and the whole music system evolved out of these 108. So the Indian classical music essentially is about touching these 108 or activating these 108 chakras or points in the body, which will lead to a natural evolution of the human being to a higher level of consciousness. So music has never been just in a form of entertainment, it has been a way of evolving an individual human being into a universal entity. So this dimension of activating the human system, this dimension of allowing the human system to evolve to its ultimate possibility by using these 108 sounds is called as Nada Yoga. So the Indian classical music is an evolution of this fundamental process of Nada Yoga. If one listens to music with the necessary involvement, or one involves themselves in the process of what we are referring to as the classical music, it is not just about pleasantness of the body, it is not just about the pleasantness of emotion that one goes through. It is a way, it is a method to move out of compulsive cycles of life and transcend those cycles to achieve an ultimate process of freedom and liberation. The classical music is a very refined and wonderful way of delving into oneself. This is one of the most wonderful ways that one can transcend one's limitations and arrive at an ultimate possibility. There are many ways to do this, but this is a wonderful and beautiful way to do it.
Wind, string or
The Panchavadyam is a very popular traditional group performance of Kerala. very name Panchavadyam indicates the number of instruments used. Pancha means five. The five instruments here are the Timila, the Shuddha Maddalam, the Idakya, the Komba, and the Ilatalam. As a prelude, the Shankar is blown thrice. Though it is a group performance, under the present system, it also gives scope for individual improvisation, especially for the Timila Maddalam and the Idakya performance. The present Panchavadyam is a developed form of earlier Anushtana Panchavadyam. A performance may last from 1 to 4 hours, depending upon the availability of time. Panchavadyam is becoming more popular on account of the tonal effect produced by it.
See, we must understand, there is something called as a mantra, okay? Mantra means we say it's a pure sound. Why is one sound pure, another is not? Not like that. That is, mantra is significant for the sound of it, not for the meaning of it. Meaning exists only in your psychological space. There is no meaning anywhere in the universe except in the human mind. But there is sound, because sound is a reverberation. And today modern science is talking about how there is no matter, everything is reverberation. There's just energy reverberating. So sound is an existential reality. Meaning is a psychological thing. Most of he's the expert, I have not read those things, I have not studied anything. But essentially, the essence of what is offered in the Eastern structure of learning is largely the impact of sound. How? Because creation is seen as a complex amalgamation of sounds, and certain sounds are key sounds. And when I say a key, suppose you're locked in this room and I give you a key to freedom. But you saw this, you have no concept of key in your mind. You put it in your ears and turned it, you did this, you try to stick it in the wall, this, that, it doesn't work. Only if you put it into that particular hole and turn it in a particular way, it opens up a world for you. So a mantra is significant for its sound. Meaning is a psychological and social thing. Meaning is meaningless, really. But sound exists. So, the science of using the sound to create certain atmosphere within yourself and around you is what it is about.
बाबा जी ने खुद सिद्ध कर दिया कि मैं पहले आई वॉज एडिक्टेड टू वेस्टर्न म्यूज़िक एंड जब मैंने ध्यान करना शुरू किया, योगा करना शुरू किया, तो मुझे मैं पता नहीं कब अपने भारतीय संगीत में चला आया। तो ये तो पक्का बता दिया कि भारतीय संगीत इज़ द मेन संगीत है दुनिया का, कि जो आपको ऊपर उठाता है। जैसे किसी ने मुझको ये कहा कि आप कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं कि राग का टाइम ये है। बहुत साधारण बात है, अगर आप थोड़ा सा माइन्यूटली ध्यान करें तो हवा में वो स्वर घूमते हैं जो हमें राग गाना है, जिसको गाना चाहिए, रादर गाना है नहीं, गाना चाहिए, वो आपको स्वर हवा में सुनने को आते हैं। हमारा भारतीय संगीत साइंटिफिक भी है। साइंस ये है कि वही सुबह का ऋषभ है जो भैरव में है, वही शाम का ऋषभ है जो मारवा में है, वही शाम का ऋषभ जो पूरी धनाश्री में है, मगर तीनों अलग अलग है। एक ऋषभ, कोमल ऋषभ। कैसा साइंस है। और मैंने कहा ना कि हम लोग जो है 22 श्रुतियों में गाते हैं। हर एक राग की श्रुति जो है अपने आप बनती है, जिसको अच्छी सही तालीम है उसको सही अपने आप बनती है। उसको सोचना या कहना नहीं पड़ेगा कि भाई ये देखिए मैं ये श्रुति गा रहा हूँ। अगर उसने कहा कि मैं ये श्रुति गा रहा हूँ तो वहीं खंडित, मतलब ध्यान खंडित होके और वो श्रुति यूँ हो जाएगी। तो हमारा शास्त्रीय संगीत तो आराम से भगवान तक ले जाता है, क्योंकि ये वेरी शॉर्टकट रूट है। और इसमें अगर आपकी कुछ योग शक्ति आपकी मिल जाए तो अद्वितीय हो जाती है, उसकी डबल शक्ति हो जाती है, आपको रॉकेट में बैठा के ले जाएगा।
The ancient sages of this nation, the ancient seers and yogis of this region looked at time with enormous attention. Our idea of time is essentially because of the way we are connected with the immediate creation around us, which is the planet and the solar system. Today, as we sit here, we call this the night because the planet is rotating. In a few hours, we'll call this midnight. In few more hours, we will call this day, only because the planet is spinning. The spin of the planet and the human body and the human energies and the human possibilities and the human destiny is so deeply entwined. If one does not understand the law that governs this, if one is not in tune with the dharma that governs this, he will be just spinning eternally. You know, if you spin around for some time, then you don't know where you're going. This is the state of most human beings, because unknowingly they're spinning with the planet and then they don't know where they're going. The Surya Siddhanta, which goes back into the hori of time, estimated to be somewhere around 15 to 25,000 years ago, is talking about the speed of light as 2,202 yojanas. In half a nimisha, one yojana, according to the modern units of measurement, would be nearly 9 miles. One nimisha means 16/75th of a second. If you multiply this, you get… this is the speed of light. He's talking about the speed of light over 15,000 years ago. And today, we have arrived at the same numbers with great difficulty, with all kinds of instrument. This is by simple observation of how the human system and the solar system functions together. The distances between the sun and the planet, the distances between the moon and the planet, and the way we rotate and the impact it has, all these things have been looked at with great care. Right now, the diameter of the sun into 108 equals the distance between sun and earth. This is today's measurement, it goes exactly like that. The diameter of the moon into 108 equals the distance to the earth. You know, why we put 108 beads in you, you must have lost quite a few of them by now, out of sync. Like this, I can go on with all kinds of fabulous figures. The most important thing is how the making of the time and the making of the human body are so deeply connected. If you know the planet is round and it has a slightly tilted orbit, if you take this orbit and as it travels, as it spins, here it forms a circle. To form this circle, today we know it takes 25,920 years. This is the time taken. This tilt mainly happens because of the gravitational pull of the moon over the earth. And for it to exert that pressure continuously to get this axis to form a circle, it takes this many years. And that many years is called as the one cycle of yugas. 25,920 by 60, because 60 is the number of minutes, 60 is also the number of heartbeats you should have if you are healthy, will turn out to 432. 432 is a number that comes up in various cultures, the Norse culture, the ancient Jewish culture, the Egyptian culture, the Mesopotamian culture, and very much here is 432. Why this 432 is, your heart beats 60 times a minute. If you're in a state of excitement, it may be doing more. If you are in a good health and in good condition, it beats 60 times. So 60 times into 60, it's 3,600, into 24 would be 86,400. This is what it would be. If you divide this by 2, if you leave this out, it's again 432. If you take the number of breaths that you're taking per minute, can you check and tell me how many breaths you're taking per minute? If you're not in a state of heavy excitement, you're doing 15. If you are in a state of sadhana, you've done lots of sadhana, then you could be 12, otherwise you will be 15. So, 15 breaths per minute means into 60 per hour, that is 900, 24, that is 21,600. There is something called as a nautical mile, which is a real mile. That means, when I say the real mile, it has something to do with the planet and the way it is. The other units of measurement that we have created has something to do with the ease with which we can calculate. So 1 nautical mile literally means, you know there are 360 degrees in a circle, all of you know this. So upon the planet, there are 360 degrees. If this is the planet, if this is the equator, there are 360 going up like this. Let's say if you take this one as 1 degree, in this there are 60 minutes, it's referred to as minutes. There are 60 minutes. These 60 minutes, that 1 minute accounts for 1 nautical mile. So that means the circumference of the earth at the equator is 21,600. That's how many breaths you take per day. The planet is not spinning on time, no good at all for us. If you are not in tune with it, still no good for you. I'm just trying to make you understand, time is not just a concept that we invented. Time is deep-rooted in the system, in the very way we are made. So, when we go into Mahabharata, there is so much talk about the yugas and how they function, the impact of time on human life. I want you to look at it from a different context. This is not something that somebody thought up. This is a very phenomenal and profound science. Yoga is always deeply involved with this. It is just that we don't believe in propounding theories about it, but by practice we are trying to attune the body to the times and spaces of the creation the way it is. Because without being in tune with this, you don't get very far. If you are not riding the time, you will live a mediocre life, probably a very suffering life. Only if you are riding the time, you will live an extraordinary life, which is what a human being and the human brain is designed for. If you look at the orbit of the planet is here, In the yogic astronomy, we divide this orbit into 27 segments called nakshatras. Each of these divide into 4 equal sectors called padas or steps, marking the 108 steps that the sun and the moon take through heaven. These 27 positions of the sun in relation to the earth plays a significant role upon the planet. These 27 represent the phases of the moon from a Paurnami to Amavasya and from Amavasya to Paurnami. There are 27 segments. So as the planet is traveling, let us say from this nakshatra to this nakshatra, what is happening is the little moon is making its half a circle. As it goes to the next one, it completes the cycle, and as this is happening, the human cycles within the human body are responding and corresponding to that. In a woman's body, it is very obviously there. Every 27.55 days, a cycle should happen in a woman's body if she has to be perfectly healthy. In the male body, it is happening in a different way. It is not so obvious and so manifest, but it is happening in a different way, and the cycle is of a larger span, because if it's a larger span and men don't have much arithmetic capabilities, they don't count, when was my last cycle? That is mainly because of arithmetic problems, but otherwise this is happening. This is happening all the time in the solar system. This is happening in the larger universe with relation to the solar system, and it is happening in this. So Pinda and Andanda, the microcosm and the macrocosm, both are playing the same game. But you tell me, who should play whose game? If you think the macrocosm is going to play your game, you will waste your life. If you play their game, your life will be greater beyond your expectation. Music is a good vehicle to transport yourself to that last point. I feel unfortunately, there are exponents of music who know it by experience. There are certain half-baked scientists who know something about the sounds and they know the benefits, they measured this and that. But there is no one person who is like him, at the same time a scientist who can do all those things. When that happens, it'll be good, or at least if two people get together like that, it'll be good, where all these things can be explained in modern terminology. Right now what he does is purely in experiential sense. People know it happens, but if somebody comes and asks questions, how does it happen, they don't know, they say it's all your rubbish emotion, that's all. You too identify with your Indian nonsense, so it happens to you. It needs to be put out, somebody needs to work on this, where it is expressed as today's science understands it. Today's science has a very rudimentary expression. Why I say this is, today's science has survived only because of the technological devices it has produced. If it does not throw out gadgets, nobody would value this science because it has no life significance of any kind, except for producing conveniences and comforts. So this is a different kind of science. Now, sitting here and singing about Shiva, what will you get? Nothing you'll get, but life will happen. I thought we came here so that life happens to us, not because we get a camera or a cell phone or some damn thing. We came here because we want life to happen to us, isn't it? The only reason why a human being is alive here is because he wants life to happen to him. So this is a science of making life happen to you. This is not a science of producing this and that. That also could be done, actually. Using the sounds, that also could be done. But that's not the focus, that's never been the focus of this culture. This is about making life happen in highest level of intensity and beauty. And music is the closest thing to meditativeness that way.
When you think of the staggering symbols that the Indians produced, I mean the dancing Shiva, for example, we've never produced anything as comprehensive as this. The dancing Shiva, those little bronze statues, it is the Shiva with 4 arms dancing with 1 foot raised. And well, I mean, I'll go into the details, they're really quite extraordinary. It's, the figure stands within a great circle, a sort of halo, which has flames going out, I mean the symbols of flames, and this is the circle of mass, energy, space, time. I mean this is the material world, the great world of the all-embracing material world with its flames. Within this, Shiva dances. He's called Nataraja, the lord of the dance. And he dances, he's everywhere in the universe. I mean, this is his dance. The manifestation of the world is called his lila, his play. It's, I mean, he sends his rain upon the just and the unjust, and he's not, he's beyond good and evil, of course. It's all an immense manifestation of play. He has this long hair, which is the hair of the yogi, contemplative, and it streams out to the limits of the universe, you see. Therefore this sort of yogic knowledge of this contemplation includes everything. He has 4 arms. In the upper right arm he holds a little drum, which is the drum which summons things into creation. You beat upon this drum and things come into existence. In his left arm he holds a fire, which is what destroys everything. He both creates and destroys. His lower right hand is held up in this attitude, which means be not afraid, in spite of everything, it is all right. The other hand points down at his feet, and 1 foot is planted squarely on the back of a repulsive dwarf, this infinitely powerful dwarf called Muyalaka, I think his name is, who is the ego, and he has to break the back of the ego, you see. What he's really pointing at is the other foot, which is raised, and this means this foot is raised against gravitation and is the symbol of spiritual contemplation. The whole thing is there, you see. I mean, the world of space and time and matter and energy, the world of creation and destruction, the world of psychology. I mean, how do you get out of this? I mean, if you don't break the back of the ego, you're lost, and if you don't practice contemplation, there will be no liberation for you. I mean, we don't have anything remotely approaching such a comprehensive symbol, which is both cosmic and psychological and spiritual. I mean, it is really most unfortunate that we have such miserable symbols. It's part of the regular Hinduism, but it is specifically Shivaite. And then one of the manifestations, of course, is called Bhairava of Shiva, who is also dancing, but he dances in cemeteries. And I mean, to remind us that the dance of life isn't always very jolly. I mean, that he dances just as much in misery and death as in life and elation. I mean, this has to be accepted. And of course, again, it's only by the lifted foot that we can accept it. I mean, it actually is completely compatible with the modern scientific idea. I mean, it includes the world, you see, of mass, energy, space and time. And the idea of the infinite energy dancing timelessly and forever through this world, dancing through human mentality too. I mean, that the world is felt to be, of course, a kind of outrage, because the play goes on even inside ourselves, although we are sentient beings, and yet the hand is raised, everything is finally all right in spite of everything, if, as Buddha says, I show you sorrow and the ending of sorrow. The ending of sorrow is putting your foot on the back of the dwarf and raising the other foot in against gravity into the state of contemplation. I mean, the whole thing is there, stated in this single, extremely elegant. I mean, these Shiva images from the south of India are very, very elegant. They're most beautiful pieces of sculpture, the best of them. But
But yoga is about uniting that which is creation and that which is non-creation. The word yoga means to unite. To uniting that which is creation. Creation means a limited form. It may be a planet, it may be a solar system, it may be a galaxy, but still a limited form. In our perspective, it may be large, we may think the universe is unlimited. That's our perspective. An ant thinks you're unlimited. Our perspective of what is size is from the size of who we are. You know, we are looking at something is large, something is small. Essentially, any form is a limited space. So, yoga means to unite that which is limited with that which is unlimited. So, what is a form? To make it formless. But at the same time, we don't want to lose our form, but we want to connect the limited with the unlimited. Yoga means, the other word is to yoke or to unite. So we want to yoke or unite the limited with the unlimited. We want to couple them in such a way that we have the experience of both. That is why we are teaching you Shambhavi.